So we're getting ready to go back to New York because we have a screening of a movie that Lisa Hammer directed that is a German expressionist, surrealist, weirdo silent film, because I was a silent star in the gay 90s, and it's going to screen at the MoMA and is showing from March 13th through the 33rd. So I wanted to talk about that too. So the fact that this happened and then we just put it on social media shocked and amazed a bunch of people. And I'm kind of like Santa, where I'm making a list of who's naughty and who's nice, and who responded in an awesome way and wants to be supportive and cool and has the correct response, which is like, congratulations, and who is absolutely ignoring it and can't deal because their jealousy is making them bite their foot off or whatever. And it's I guess it's what happens. It's not surprising to me. I've always been polarizing my whole life. But that's what good art is, right? It's disturb the comfortable, comfort the disturbed. That's all I've ever wanted to do. That's all I'm trying to do. It's all I've ever done. It's all I ever will do. But anyways, I know that you're just seeing the result all of a sudden pop up on a social media feed, which, by the way, we have a mailing list of 150,000 people that I've been building since the 90s and revising since the 90s. If you want to join, please go there. I don't even care about social media. The only reason I do it, and I don't even think it, shows anybody's real worth, obviously. Social media and the number of likes you have does not quantify the human soul, duh. But it's just a marketing tool like anything else. And before social media, I sent out postcards through the mail and advertised my dolls in the back of my comic book meat cake and my albums and the DVD that these movies were on. And Lisa Hammer and I worked really, really hard in the late 90s to produce over 50 episodes of Turn of the Century, which was a freak show variety hour that was all in sepia tone and had a lot of experimental and goth style cute weird stuff, and we're running around with dirndls in the East Village in our late 20s, shooting and producing all this ourselves with no money, no budget, but we did it. And we had it on public access in Manhattan because there was no other venue. There wasn't YouTube and social media back then, so we put it where we could. And we were pitching it as a TV series to MTV and other places because a lot of the production studios and places that did that were in Manhattan. We were using it as a kind of a pitch template to get a real TV show. And they kept shooting us down because we're girls in a brodeo in a very sexist field where there's a lot of money and a lot of power, and the brodeo didn't want to give it to us, and somebody very close to us stole some of my contacts that I introduced him to, and then got all buddy bros with the dude, and then got a TV show, like an animated TV series, like we were trying to get that whole time, for himself, and threw us under the bus, stopped talking to us, and even though they used my contacts and basically destiny swapped, right? So that's an example of destiny swapping. So that happened. It's not the very first time of destiny swapping, because there's been others. Like somebody stole my Amazon account, stole my name, stole my books, and was making money off that for 10 years. And we just could not do anything to get Amazon to get it back. And literally, since I've been doing these spells, the blocks have been unlocking finally. And I also think it's due to the shift in with Saturn and Saturn returns, and Saturn return destroyed my life when I turned 30. I was the same age as the Twin Towers, which maybe they started getting built before 71, but that's when they were revealed, and then they were destroyed when I turned 30. So that was their Saturn return as well. And I'm a Gemini, so I'm twins. So I felt, and I always had so many good memories and so much fun in the Twin Towers, at all the parties and events and all the things that would happen in Windows of the World in the 90s with my other Gen X friends who were young and in their 20s at the time. And when the Twin Towers fell, my entire life, all my contacts, all of the things I used to do, all of it was destroyed. I lived in LA. My relationship was destroyed with my lawyer fiance. I didn't live in Soho anymore. It was a whole thing. And I've been trapped basically ever since, and had still, published books, kept going my career, kept doing tours, kept doing shows, produced things. But I started when I was a teenager, and I really felt like I had started ahead of the curve. And I'm really glad I did, because then after 9/11, technology changed. It kept changing. It kept morphing and not settling, and I didn't know which way it was going to go. And I was just trying to keep on top of everything. The publishing industry changed. The way short films, film festivals, and music, all of it changed. And then by the time it settled, and I could get back to trying to coordinate and organize it, all of it had been blocked and stolen from me, and then they wouldn't give it back. So that also was a problem. So now I've just been really, really focusing, now that I'm at my house and I can be stabilized, I've been really, really focusing on unlocking a lot of these blocks, so that, and putting a lot of this destiny swapping stuff to rest. So I wanted to show you one of the many spells and rituals I do daily. I program my subconscious at night. I program my subconscious and do and consciousness in the morning. I program my consciousness when I'm sleeping, and during the day while I'm working, and all I kind of do is work, because I'm still trapped and can't necessarily do all the things I really want to do yet, but I am doing them in the eye of the divine mind, and will soon be doing them in reality. And this exhibit at the MoMA is part of it. So after 9/11, I had I moved to LA. I was in LA. Actually moved to LA 6 months before 9/11, because I got a movie option for a different IP I was doing called Planet Blue, and I went to LA to work on it, and this is the thing, I've had movies optioned, but the thing I didn't know before is it's a lot of work to get an agent, it's a lot of work to get your book published, and then it's a lot of work to get a contract and an option to make your movie, but then it could get shelved and never produced. And that's when you have to make sure your contract is not in perpetuity, so it can go back into your jurisdiction, so that when the whole thing doesn't get produced after 3 years, you can pitch it again. So that's something, kids, or anybody who aspires to do filmmaking based or TV shows based on IPs that you make out of graphic novels or writing. That's a little bit of a tip there. Meanwhile, so at the time, though, I didn't know it was not going to get produced. I had it an option, and I'd worked really hard to get to that point. I'd worked through the 90s to get to that point, and I was trying to be in LA to kind of follow up with it. So, and also I'm from LA, kind of. I'm from Idaho in the mountains, but my mom's from LA, so I have family, and my grandparents lived in LA. So I went to LA a lot as a kid. So I just thought I'd just go back for a minute and do that. I ended up getting stuck there, though, because of 9/11 destroying my life in New York. But maybe I wasn't supposed to be there. A lot of people I know from the East Village and the Lower East Side. I lived in Chinatown and Soho and the Lower East Side. A lot of people I know died from cancer and were affected by the towers falling because they had a lot of asbestos that people were breathing in. So, and people that were trying to save, like the firefighters and stuff, died. So, in a way, maybe I wasn't supposed to go back, so I was saved. But I also left 6 months before because I had a vision that New York was going to get bombed, and I didn't know if it was a nuclear bomb. I didn't know what was going to happen. So that's another reason I left when I did. So that when the Twin Towers fell, everybody was like, "What? How did you know to leave?" But I had the vision. I just followed the vision. It was a feeling too, like, get out, right? So I did. I, however, was a fashion model in the 90s, and I was modeling for my friend in LA, and both from childhood, actually. He's a really amazing fashion designer. Now he's running a candy shop in Idaho again. He's returned, but at the time we were in our late 20s, early 30s, and he was in LA, and I was modeling for his fashion. If you want details on that, DM me, because I get weird about mentioning people's names, because I don't know if they want to be mentioned all the time. But anyways, so we and his mom, who helped raise me because she raised the whole block, because she was the only one that didn't. She worked from home, and she was a musician, played piano, but she didn't have to go to a job, day job. So she was there, I was there, he was there. We did a fashion show because it was Fashion Week on 9/10. I stayed at my friend's house, and on 9/11 witnessed 9/11. And then I was such a brat. Like, my life up until that point was so, it was hard. We worked hard, but it was so freaking amazing and magical. And I just did whatever I wanted a lot, and there was always a way kind of to figure out how to do what I wanted. And I would just fly to Canada or Paris or whatever when I felt like it. Anyways, and because I was a cartoonist, there on Fantagraphics, there's always these places in Canada and Paris and stuff that would host shows for me or do whatever, and I could live on a dime or rent out my house while I was gone and lock all my belongings in a closet that no one could access, and just let them sleep in my couch or whatever. I didn't care. It was like, whatever. And, because I just wanted to do what I wanted and was doing it on a budget, but I could still do it. But anyways, adulting is a nightmare. It's so boring and tedious, and I've been doing it for 10 years now, but I want to get back to that because I haven't had days like that or life like that for a decade now, and really miss it. And I'm glad I got stabilized, but wow, this has been a lot. And that's another reason why I'm doing my reverse destiny spells, because part of why I'm in Georgia, which is beautiful trees, as you can see, but wow, the petty crazy bullshit here. So yeah, again, back to that, when someone gets into the MoMA in their 50s, it's not because they didn't do a ton of work. We produced an entire TV series. It didn't get picked up. It got locked in an attic because of trauma, and I was in crisis and couldn't produce it anymore and wasn't in New York anymore. And then it was showing on a Portland public access show in the 2000s, I guess, because somebody that cared came to my mom's house and would take the VHSs and show them in Portland. That was really cute. And that's all we had too. We didn't have YouTube or whatever, right? And then it was in the attic on all these VHS tapes, and my mom was like, they're getting destroyed from the weather, right? And then she got this machine thing that would transfer VHS to DVDs, and she transferred freaking 100 or more like DVDs of all of this film stuff and all these the TV show Turn of the Century that me and Lisa produced. Lisa was the director, and I helped with prop sets and we also acted in it. I made the animation for it, like with our friends, all this stuff. And my mom saved it all, right, on these DVDs, and then put it in a suitcase so it wasn't like giant boxes taking up. And now we don't have those VHSs, but I wish we did. I mean, I get why we don't. Mom doesn't have to deal with all that forever, but those VHSs are gone, and there's something that I could have given to patrons as patron prizes or sold or whatever, or kept them, but they're gone. It's okay. But then, because we still have the show, and then when Mom was like, I'm moving to my beach house, I'm retiring, you and your brothers need to get all your shit out of my attic, she sent us the suitcase full of DVDs. And my amazing magical tech husband, Pleasant, tried to watch the DVDs, and they had been recorded the wrong way. And so with his computer at the time that was really old and broken, now he has a better new one, but at the time he was like, it took him 2 years to get them all in the right format so that they could actually be seen and then actually screened. And then he got us our TV show on Night Flight, so which we finally after 30 years had our TV show somewhere that we've been pitching and trying to get picked up by something. And now it's on the Night Flight streaming platform and has been for a year. And Night Flight is something I watched as a teenager at midnight in Idaho that showed me that doing campy horror stuff and surreal fairy tale weirdness and irreverent punk shenanigans and wacky music videos with cheap effects had a place in the world, was super inspiring, and made me think that I would have a place in the world when I wanted to leave Idaho. I went to film school